Hello, I'm Sister Rosemary Greco. I'm the Director of Wisdom House Retreat Center in Litchfield, Connecticut. This weekend, we're happy to have with us Franciscan Sister Ilia Delio, who's going to be presenting a program on one of her books, The Unbearable Wholeness of Being. And in this book, she will be talking about God, evolution, and the power of love. And so as we move into this weekend, I'm going to ask Sister Ilia to please speak to the major themes of what she's going to present to our audience for these days. Thank you.
So many people ask me, where did you get the title of this book, The Unbearable Wholeness of Being? And I got it from an article actually on science. The article was a popular article in the Atlantis on some new aspects of biology, and I was fascinated by the fact that in the natural world we realized that life works as an integral whole, whereas we used to think it was sort of a survival of the fittest and a competition for resources and all this type of thing. So as I began to ponder that, the unbearable wholeness of being, and think about that in terms of modern science, I began to realize that we really are interconnected to the core, right back to the heart of the matter, so to speak. And what's interesting is that the early church fathers, especially the Greek fathers, had that idea that the new Adam was one whole unity of humankind. They didn't have this idea that it would be one person, but they thought it would be sort of the unity of all people. And we're recapturing something of that today. We're beginning to realize that we really are an interconnected, relational species, humankind, created by God. And maybe the word relationship is the best word to use here. We're not just individuals. We are persons with an intrinsic relational dimension of life. And I think even our technology today is speaking to that deep relationality. We have the need to reach out and touch someone. We have the need to connect with other people. And I think we have developed systems over the last several hundred years that have not attended to our deep relationality. In fact, if anything, they've thwarted that relationality by a radical individualism and sort of an autonomous personhood. And we have maybe been successful to build up the systems of our world, but at the same time, we have found ourselves in a very fractured world, a very divisive world, a very tribalized world. And I think younger generations especially are realizing, because younger generations are born into a wired way of life. I mean, they're born with a cell phone in their hand, basically. And I think their brains are wired differently. They're sort of already oriented toward relationality. So I actually think, while many people say the world's falling apart and it's all going to end, I think we're on the cusp of something that's very new and much more optimistic in terms of life-giving. Yesterday I was attended the Pope's Mass in Washington, D.C., and I think he is a sign of someone who is making a choice for life. In other words, we can't keep at the same pace of life and this kind of competitive lifestyle that we've developed. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And in fact, it has made us one of the most, if not the most, unnatural species alive today. And so I think we have fallen out of sync with the natural world. And the unbearable wholeness of being is, in a sense, returning to that deepest dimension of life, that deep relationality. And I think in doing that, we will become truly natural again, at home in this cosmos. And this is the world that God is creating and that God loves. So I think God really loves that we're becoming more relational.